Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, let's talk some boxing. So I did this video here in a response to Dante's Boxing Nation, which is a good channel, even though it's a little bit biased towards black boxers, slick black boxers especially, but nonetheless. In Dante's Boxing Nation, I responded to him with this video. I'm not mad at Dante's Boxing Nation. I actually listen to his channel quite a lot. He has some pretty good stuff on there. And as a result of that, one of you, my subscribers, Maverick Peterson, you responded to me. Thank you so very much, Maverick Peterson, for your response to my videos. And please share my videos. I have a lot of videos. Please share them. You say, glad to see me back. That's what you need. My name is Anson Phillip, by the way. So if you look, you see Anson Phillip, or you see Christ I Am Disciple, that's me. Okay? Glad to see you back. Really like how you break down the fighters of old. The way you get rid of the mystique and reveal the true abilities. Not very knowledgeable myself, so really appreciate the breakdowns. I watched all of Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s fights and basically had this feeling he would nearly beat anyone in the history of the sport from 130 to 140 pounds. 147 as well. I had the feeling cause most of the greats I've seen video of, which granted isn't much, I just couldn't see it happening. But that notion seems to go against almost all the experts, boxing writers, etc. Just nice to see I'm not entirely crazy if another person can see that as well and research it in such depth and still find evidence which holds up to the belief theory. Thank you so very much, Maverick Peterson, for saying this. First of all, I want to say I'm not alone in thinking so, okay? And neither are you. You go and check out some really well-researched followers of boxing and writers of boxing, and they will tell you pretty much the same thing. David Mayo's been covering Floyd Mayweather for a long time. David Mayo from MLive, Michigan Post, and he also shows facts and evidence that support what I'm saying. It's not that Floyd is unbeatable. I always say this over and over again. No fighter is unbeatable, even though he has right now an unbeaten record. We call that an unbeaten streak. Okay, no fighter is unbeatable. But what I will say to you is that it's very difficult to beat that kind of mentality and style that you're looking at, and kind of boxer in Floyd Mayweather. In terms of history, if we can't ever go through history and actually match up these fighters against one another. But I believe, this is my belief, that if that was to happen and they were pound for pound matched up, I think Floyd would beat them. And my argument is very simple. It's basically that Floyd gets to benefit from all of the experience and all of the skill sets of fighters before him. And so they have formed him. They've set the foundation and formed this kind of fighter. And Floyd is trying to pass on his information now to the next generation. He's trying to mentor others. Others are going to have seen his style and certain things about his style, and they're going to use their own style and their own stuff to take their boxing to the next level to surpass what he's done. So that when we look back at Floyd many years after, we say, this boxer could have kicked his ass, which would have been very true, because again, the abilities and the skill sets of fighters in the future will be, of course, much better than the ones today. It's just what it is. That's how boxing is. It evolves as a sport. And if you don't believe that boxing has evolved and you think it's going downhill, that's where I think, and the best days are behind it, I think that kind of thinking is counterproductive to the sport, as well as it's counterproductive to the people who are not learning the new things about boxing, and it's happening all the time. So yeah, some of the old school teachings are lost, but then there's some new school teachings that come about as a result of that. Everything evolves. And so that's what I had to say, and that's what I am, a proponent of evolution in terms of boxing. And you can see from the very beginnings of the sport, whether you look at it in the recent history of it, the modern history of it in England with the bare knuckle brawls, or you look at it from ancient Sumerian civilizations, way before even Egypt, we're talking about here. You're going to see that boxing has gone through many different cycles and many different incarnations of itself, but throughout history it's been there. So it's not going to be any surprise that boxing is going to continue to be there for a very, very, very long time. Okay, it's just that what it actually incarnates into is really up to anybody's guess. Now, with respect to the all-time greats, again, I love to say this over and over again because I was never there. I sometimes have to take people's accounts, newspaper accounts, etc. But what I've seen in footage of the all-time greats doesn't particularly match up to some of the hyperbole about them. And that's where I started to actually look into the matter a little bit more deeply. And I tried to remove certain mystiques from certain fighters. Even Floyd Mayweather Jr. has a certain mystique about him. But like I said before, he's just like any other boxer. He's there. You may be wowed about him now, but I'm sure in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, you won't be wowed about him anymore. The mystique will be removed. And my point being this. A lot of times, I think people have a way of having this myth of a fighter, and then that builds the legend of them, and then you have the reality of the fighter. Take, for instance, everyone now praises and lauds Sugar Ray Robinson. Do you know that Sugar Ray Robinson was a very controversial figure in his time? That he turned down fights because he wasn't getting paid, that he avoided certain fighters, that, you know, as beautiful as he was in the ring, he won certain fights, very close decisions, and some of them it was controversial. Actually, he was booed after he got the win. So I'm just trying to tell you, people make it sound, the proponents of Sugar Ray Robinson make it sound like he was well loved in his time, but it wasn't exactly like that, okay? So all I'm trying to tell you is history has a way of rewriting the script on a fighter and making him more mythical. Because if you were an admirer, for instance, of Sugar Ray Robinson, you're going to put a lot of hyperbole. Oh, he could box, he could dance circles, he could run rings. Because at the time, he so impressed the people that saw him that they wrote these colorful things about him. Now, if Sugar Ray Robinson were to come into our time, you know, he wouldn't be as great as he was in the past. And people don't like me saying this, making this statement, but I've seen footage of Sugar Ray Robinson. I've seen footage of him at welterweight, where he was rather quick because he was much lighter. I've seen him at middleweight. And while he was at welterweight, he was also fighting middleweights, okay? Which leads us to what I really want to talk about, okay? You know, people think that Sugar Ray Robinson was much bigger than Floyd Mayweather Jr., but they never take into consideration that in Sugar Ray Robinson's time, we had same-day weigh-ins. So Sugar Ray Robinson was a middleweight, and even when he was a middleweight, he actually weighed the weight of some super lightweights today. In fact, I would argue that Lamont Peterson, your namesake Maverick Peterson, Lamont Peterson, he would, at least your surname, he would weigh more than Sugar Ray Robinson going into the ring on fight night. He'd be a bigger dude than Sugar Ray Robinson. Now, when you put that into perspective, that Floyd Mayweather Jr. has fought guys heavier than middleweights back then, and the fact that Floyd himself, coming down to especially the latter end of his career, was the weight of a middleweight back then, it's not surprising that Floyd is not that much smaller than Sugar Ray Robinson. All right, let me make the case with facts, right? So I laid out what I have to say, and now I will show you factually what Floyd Mayweather Jr. weighs or weighed in his career and what Sugar Ray Robinson in his career weighed, okay? So it's easy for Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson had same-day weigh-ins, so what you see is what you get. And let's start with the latter end of Sugar Ray Robinson's career. So here is the latter end of Sugar Ray Robinson's career. He faced Joey Archer at exactly 160 pounds. And Joey Archer himself was 159 pounds when Sugar Ray Robinson fought him. Robinson ended up losing that fight. But the point is that this is the way to Sugar Ray Robinson at the latter end of his career. We're talking about 40-something-year-old man, okay? That means he's put on all the weight he could possibly put on, okay? The heaviest Sugar Ray Robinson was in his career seems to be 162 pounds, and that was in his fourth to last and fifth to last fights, okay? It's probably the heaviest. Oh, actually, he was 163 here against a guy called Rocky Randall. Oh, he was 165 and a half pounds as well. Okay, so he put on some weight. He was like Keith Thurman size. He was like, you know, a big, like Marcus Maidana when he faced Floyd Mayweather. Okay? So that's about the heaviest this dude has ever been in his career. He averaged, at middleweight, he averaged around 150-something pounds. Okay? He'd been at middleweight a very long time, by the way. Okay? Very, very long time. So we're talking about when he's very, very old there, he was still a middleweight, right? Now, as you can see here, Sugar Ray Robinson in 1958, which is basically the last time he became world champion, was in 1957. Okay? In 1957, no. The last time he became a champion was in 1958, eh? Yeah, right. So 1958... Yeah, in 1958, all the way up to 1960 actually. So you count it to 1960. Up to 1960, he was world champion, and at that time, his fights he was 159 to 160 pounds. He was around 160 pounds. Okay, so he stayed almost true to middleweight most of his career. 162, 100 and this, 100 and that. When he faced Joey Maxson, he was 157 and a half pounds. Okay, Joey Maxson was 173 pounds. So, you know, he was like 15 and a half pounds heavier than Sugar Ray Robinson, okay? Against Graziani was 157. So you can see he was at 154 and a half against Randy Turpin, okay? Turpin beat him. For the most part, he's like 154 pounds here, which is basically super welterweight. Right, 160 and a half here, 162, 160, 157, 159, 155, 156. So you get further away from the end of his career. 1950s was still 156, 57, 58, 59, 54. Alright. He could make 147. That's crazy. He's still going to make 147. That was crazy. He was 155 against Robert Villamain, Ray Barnes, etc. So basically, when this guy came in to fight, on average, throughout his welterweight, middleweight career, he came in somewhere between 155 pounds to 160 pounds. Basically. Okay? Alright? In his middleweight career. Alright, let's go to Floyd Mayweather. Alright. Now, by the way, Sugar Ray Robinson began his career as a lightweight. Okay, so he started off at 134 pounds as a lightweight. And he moved on up from lightweight. He was lightweight all the way up to about... He was a lightweight for a year. And then he moved on to become super lightweight. They didn't have that back then, I don't think. Well, they did, but it wasn't for very long. And then he became, after super lightweight, he moved up to welterweight. So he's welterweight by his second year of boxing. He's a welterweight. Okay? And this homie was fighting middleweights. This is what's so impressive about him. He was fighting middleweights by his 36th fight. He was fighting a middleweight. Jake LaMotta. Okay? Vic Delicurti. He's fighting middleweights. So you can tell he's a big dude. He's moving up to fight the bigger guys already because he's going to move up. LaMotta was a full-fledged middleweight, just a little bit over middleweight when he fought him and so on, right? Okay, so 155 to 160 is what Sugar Ray Robinson was in size. Okay? Remember, same-day weigh-ins keep you honest. So whatever weight class you really are that weight class. Floyd Mayweather Jr. Okay, so Floyd Mayweather Jr., just to let you guys know, he began his career as a super featherweight, which is just half a weight class below lightweight. Okay, so Mayweather was always just a little bit smaller than Sugar Ray Robinson, right? He spent a little longer at super lightweight, he spent quite a while actually at super lightweight. Before super featherweight, sorry. And then he moved up. Oh, but, what was his unofficial weights? Right? That's the question, right? So let's go have a look at that. Right here, Basement Gym Boxing. So if you look at his unofficial weights, I guess we'll have to go from 1998, say. Alright, so when he's facing Angel Man Freddy, he's actually lightweight weight. He's the same size as Sugar Ray Robinson. In fact, he's a little heavier than Sugar Ray Robinson. Okay, of course that's 1998, 2 years after, but I mean Sugar Ray Robinson 2 years after, I think he was a super lightweight, right? But nonetheless, this is interesting, isn't it? Then you have Mayweather versus Carlos Ramarios, and again he's a super lightweight, right? He's a super lightweight, just like Sugar Ray Robinson, just a little bit smaller, slightly smaller. Again, Justin Juku, he's a super lightweight. And these are all, as you can see, super featherweight fights, right? You see that? Gregorio Vargas, he's basically a super lightweight. Alright, all the way there. Super lightweight, still a super lightweight, all the way up. Diego Corrales. And he's at super featherweight, okay? When he moves up to lightweight, he's still a super lightweight, okay? This is pretty big in there. Sosa, he's a super lightweight. He's at super lightweight weight limit. And he's a welterweight by the time he fights DeMarcus Corley. Okay? Which is 1998. That's 6 years. From when he began, that would be, what, 8 years? 8 years since he began. Okay? 1996 to then is 8 years. Okay? Now he's a welterweight. 8 years in. It's a little longer than Sugar Ray Robinson, but he's a little smaller. Okay? Now, as you move along, Arturo Gatti, he's still a welterweight, a small one, but he's a welterweight. Against Harry Brussels, Sean Bay Mitchell, he's definitely a welterweight now, 148. I want to show you at the same point in time, 2005, 1996, that's 9 years in. 9 years into Sugar Ray Robinson's career, what are we looking at? So he began at 1940, so we're looking at 1949. 1949. I'm going to show you guys something because I want you to see how this thing works out. So, of course, Sugar Ray Robinson is a welterweight all this time. 1949 is coming up. Here it is. In 1949, Sugar Ray Robinson is a 150-pounder. So he's more of a, back then you call it a middleweight. Today we call it a super welterweight. So he's a super welterweight. He's a little bit bigger than Floyd. All right, not that much bigger now, because just a couple of months before he was 146 and a half. Okay, big welterweight, but he was a welterweight. Now he's a super welterweight. But he faces Kid Gavilan in 1949. He's at the 147 pound limit. He stays mostly in the 150s though, so he's still around welterweight. Okay, you can get down there. Okay, but importantly enough, when you look at Mayweather at this point in time, he too is a welterweight. Okay, right here. Where is he? Sean Bay Mitchell, right? So he's 147 as well. He's at the 147 limit. Faces Zab Judah the year after, and he's a welterweight. But what is his weight versus Sean Bay Mitchell? Let's have a look at that again. So we're looking at here, I think. So Sean Bay Mitchell is 148 pounds. When he faces Zab Judah, he's 146, which is really, really small. Judah is much bigger. He's 149 in 2006 against Baldemir. Okay? At this point in time, Sugar Ray Robinson, like I said, he's a super welterweight. So in 1949, he's mostly a super welterweight. But Floyd's not that much smaller than him. Not much smaller, about 5 pounds smaller than him, if so much. Right? So you can see that these two guys are around about the same weight at that point in time. Well, okay, I'm stretching it. Sugar Ray Robinson's a little bigger, right? Let's keep it going, though. Let's keep it going. So Floyd, keeping on going, he faces Oscar De La Hoya. For those who don't know what Floyd's weight was against Oscar, it was about 149 pounds, okay, against Oscar De La Hoya. Against Ricky Hatton, we don't know. Against Juan Manuel Marquez, we don't know. We can guess. Shane Mosley, we don't know. Against Victor Ortiz in 2011, which is about 13 years after, Floyd is 150 pounds. Okay, 13 years after. So we saw 9 years after, so let's go 13 years after. It would be about 1953. In 1953, let's think, but Sugar Ray Robinson had a lot of fights. Okay, we don't really have him in 1953. Floyd's 150 pounds anyway, and as you can clearly see here, Sugar Ray Robinson is somewhere around 155 to 160 pounds. Okay, so Sugar Ray Robinson is between 5 to 10 pounds bigger than Floyd at that point in time, which is pretty big, but Floyd fights guys about that too, because look who Floyd is fighting at that point in time. He fought Victor Ortiz, who's 164 pounds, bigger than Sugar Ray Robinson. Quick, southpaw, all of that going on there. Okay, we don't have him for Robert Guerrero. Okay, and then we have one more, or we have two more, I think. Let's see. This one's Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez on fight night. Let's see if I can find that somewhere. Okay, here it is. So Canelo Alvarez on fight night was 165 pounds. Floyd was 150. Okay, so again, Floyd's continuously fighting guys much bigger than him. And then we have another one here. This has to do with Marcos Maidana, the first fight with Marcos Maidana, who's a hell of a lot better boxer than Jake LaMotta. Jake LaMotta was very scrappy. Jake LaMotta was more of a brawler. He did have a pretty decent jab. So did Marcos Maidana, but nonetheless. So anyway, Mayweather, he weighed 148 pounds, and Marcos Maidana weighed 165 pounds. And Floyd reported that he weighed 149 pounds versus Manny Pacquiao, who weighed 152. But my point anyway is this. Sugar Ray Robinson weighed between 155 and 160 pounds at middleweight. Floyd weighed, at welterweight, he weighed somewhere between 148 to 150, maybe even 151 pounds in his latter end of his career. And my point is this. If Floyd is weighing that, and Sugar Ray Robinson is weighing, okay, let's say 5 to 7 pounds more than that, okay, Sugar Ray Robinson is basically the size of these guys that Floyd has been facing. In fact, these guys are bigger guys than Sugar Ray Robinson, like I said. If you look at Lamont Peterson, he weighs 165 pounds when he was facing Danny Garcia, who weighed 159 pounds. I mean, these are bigger guys than Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather's smaller than them. And my point is this. While Mayweather's smaller than these guys, his skill and ability allows him to be able to hang with those guys. That's why, Thomas the Hitman Hearns is a whole other story, but the point is, Hearns is a much bigger guy than Sugar Ray Robinson, for crying out loud. He's much bigger, okay? But if Robinson was to face Floyd at welterweight, Robinson would be weighing somewhere between 155 pounds and 160 pounds, so he would be bigger. But the point is, Floyd himself, well, actually at welterweight, you got to weigh 147. That's the upper limit back in the day. So when Robinson came into welterweight, he weighed 147 on fight night, but he had the power of a guy who could hit a middleweight, for instance. And that today would have, Sugar Ray Robinson could have been a super lightweight. He could have been a welterweight. You see, because if you look at the guys like Kell Brook, like Keith Thurman, like Sean Porter, these are big dudes. These are big welterweights. Floyd himself has fought a number of big welterweights. We talked about Victor Ortiz. He fought Andre Berto. He's a huge, very quick welterweight. So I'm just saying that if you think about these things, if you put Sugar Ray Robinson in our time, he'd be a welterweight today. Okay? He'd be a welterweight today because he would probably be able to make the 147-pound limit, and he'd fight at welterweight. If you were to throw Floyd back into the day, Floyd could actually fight at middleweight. He would be a small middleweight, but he'd be fighting at middleweight, and it wouldn't be something strange. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Because Sugar Ray Robinson also fought at middleweight, and he was weighing like 140-something pounds while he was fighting middleweights. You can go all the way back into time here, when he was actually welterweight champion, and he was dabbling in, even before he became welterweight champion, he was dabbling at middleweight. You see 152, 146 against Jimmy Doyle. Of course, that was a welterweight thing, but he was fighting he was 149 pounds fighting a welterweight, a middleweight at 150. You see what I'm saying? He was 151 fighting a 158 pounder. He was 149 and a half pounder fighting a 154 pounder, and so on, and so on, and so on. Okay. So my point anyway is this: that Sugar Ray Robinson was bigger than Floyd. He was taller than Floyd. He had a longer reach than Floyd. Slightly longer reach, actually. Just 72.5 inches was the span from here all the way across to here. 72.5. I would like to know what his arm length was, because that would tell us a little bit more. He was a little taller, too. He was about 3 inches taller, which is, that's pretty significant. He was really strong. He was a very powerful welterweight. Very big, powerful, and strong. That's why Roger Mayweather, he said, Floyd can take a punch, I'm pretty sure. But, I mean, Sugar Ray Robinson used to hit really, really hard. I mean, he would knock out a dude with one punch, right? So that's what everybody... But again, the legend of Sugar Ray Robinson says that, but we don't know what the conditioning of those athletes going in to face Sugar Ray Robinson was. I mean, Sugar Ray Robinson was a well-conditioned athlete, but, I mean, when you think about the conditioning of those athletes, like Marcos Maidana versus Sugar Ray Robinson, there's no way Sugar Ray Robinson is knocking out Marcos Maidana. I'm just telling y'all now. Ain't nobody knocking out Marcos Maidana. Besides he had pretty decent defense, Marcos Maidana. Marcos Maidana, I mean, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much punching power you have. Sugar Ray Robinson did go to the body pretty nice. But Maidana? Hell no. Maidana would bite Sugar Ray Robinson, he'd tackle him. I mean, Marcos Maidana. And then, the level of opposition Sugar Ray Robinson faced was good, but I don't know, man. I don't know. That's all I got to say about that. I don't know, man. Marcos Maidana is a different kind of fighter out there. I've never seen Marcos Maidana get his face bloodied or damaged or hurt. Let's just put it that way. And he got big hands. Big hands. Marcos Maidana got hands like hammers. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know. I would have loved to see Marcos Maidana versus Roberto Duran. That would have been a good-ass fight. Because I'm telling you now, Maidana versus Duran, Maidana versus Chavez, that would have been interesting fights, man. They would have been interesting fights. Marcos Maidana ain't no joke, folks. Nobody's ever well, yes, people have dropped Marcos Maidana. Victor Ortiz did. He dropped him. But the dude comes back. Like, he comes back. It comes back harder, too. So anyway, on that note, you guys have a great one.